All right, well, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Keen Talks. Today we have a great guest by the name of Donovan. He is a very amazing, incredible investor. He's killing it. Um, 20 years old, 21 years old, is doing a lot of flips, looking to do 50, 60 flips this year in Florida, which is incredibly impressive. He's only been doing it well, I guess he started when he was 18, but you'll have to listen to the podcast, get all the details from him. Super nice guy, has some crazy stories about HOAs, permitting things that went on, and people doing stuff in the properties and the condition in which he bought properties. And one of the houses, there was someone who had been murdered in the property. Just some crazy stories and stuff that um, you hear stories about, you hear on TV, or you hear these big time investors saying, but he's got a lot of those cool stories. So he's got a lot of stuff that he's doing, just trying to grow his company and do the right thing by his employees. So it's cool to talk to him, cool to get to know him. If you haven't been following us on Instagram, we put out the Realtor of the Month last month with Luis. We'll be doing that again in the upcoming month of April, so stay on the lookout for that. But go ahead and give this podcast, wow, give the podcast a like and a subscribe and follow, whatever the platform is. Just helps us reach more people, helps us get the name out there, helps us grow the podcast. So here we go. We're gonna jump right into it. Thanks. All right, everybody, welcome into the Keen Talks podcast. We have an awesome guest today. His name is Donovan. Donovan, how long have you been doing real estate investing for?
Just about 2.5 years. I started when I was 18, my first week of college. I got my first deal under contract.
Oh, nice. 18 years old. So what made you get into real estate? Did you have experience somewhere else before, or you just like, I'm going to go buy a house and see what happens, or what?
No, so I just wanted to get into something as soon as possible. I ended up finding I really liked the idea of real estate. My parents had a family friend when I was young
Mm-hmm.
who flipped houses, and I thought it was pretty cool taking something really ugly and making it real nice.
Yeah.
And you can make money in the process, which was awesome. So I really
Yeah.
like the idea of that, and that's kind of what sparked my interest in it.
Wow, that's crazy. So you're 21 now, 22?
I'm 20, I'll be 21 next month.
Wow, that's incredible. And you're in Florida? Is that where you're at?
Florida, South Florida,
South
yes.
Florida.
The
Okay,
Treasure Coast specifically.
gotcha. So how many deals have you done total?
I mean, I'm on track right now to do about 50, 60 flips this year.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Do you have a whole
Yeah.
team set up, or is it just you, or how do you run all of that?
Yeah, I got a whole team. So I got a few project managers that oversee my renovations because we sub everything out
Mm-hmm.
for the most part. So my team of project managers, obviously I'm bringing on someone to do acquisitions now because for the
Yeah.
past 2.5 years it's been me, but I'm just getting too bogged down now with all the leads I have coming in. So I'm bringing on an acquisition guy this month.
Awesome.
Also, obviously the important stuff, the paperwork and the accounting,
Yep.
I
Yep.
don't do.
Yep.
So, I got a transaction coordinator who does all my paperwork, and a bookkeeper who keeps me on track. So,
Yeah. I would say
yeah.
bookkeeping is honestly, I don't know about you, but for me, that's the worst part about flipping and renovations and all that is you get 400 Lowe's receipts, Menards and suppliers and contractors and all that. And it just is a mess keeping it all straight.
Yeah. I mean,
Utilities.
it's thousands of transactions every
Yes.
week,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
crazy.
So, I mean, to go from your first deal when you turned 18 to doing 50, 60 deals 2.5 years later, I think the thing that always I'm the most curious about in the big scheme is like the marketing piece and how you acquire all of those properties, or where do your leads come from? Are you marketing? How are you doing all of that?
Yeah, so up until this point, I really haven't spent much money in marketing at all. I mean, very little here and there. Most of my deals came from word of mouth.
Hmm.
I bought like last year, I bought a good amount of properties off the MLS. Recently though, I've been probably buying like 60% of my deals from wholesalers, 30% direct to seller, mostly through word of mouth or referrals, and then maybe 10% off the MLS. Um, but I have recently started doing Facebook ads and Instagram ads, and those have been working pretty good. It's still pretty new, so we'll see. But I'm looking to double about what I'm doing within the next year or two to go from 50, 60 to 100, houses a year.
Wow, that's incredible. And you've been doing all of the acquisitions yourself, so your days are just talking to wholesalers and talking to direct to seller the entire day.
Yeah, for the most part. And then, if my project managers call me and, they have a question or something, I'll check in with them. And, I'll walk my properties
Yeah,
obviously every so often. I'll set like aside one day a week and just, check all the properties. I mean, it's a lot, when you're
yeah,
carrying like, 20 something flips.
yep,
But yeah. Maybe I'll do like half one week and then the other half the next week usually. But
yeah.
yeah, most of my time is definitely spent on acquisitions.
So what do you use? Private funding, hard money? How do you go about getting all those properties?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me was, figuring out how to leverage private money.
Hmm.
Because man, I got people that give me $2 million
That's
in
insane.
3 minutes. It's like,
Yeah,
hey man, I need some money. Here's the deal. He's like, okay, how much do you need?
yeah,
It's
that's
really easy.
crazy.
That's another thing I spend a lot of my time on. Is going to meetups and meeting, wholesalers, meeting private money lenders, meeting anyone that can, help me out, right? But yeah, what I do is, and I know some other flippers that do this, but this totally changed my business when I started doing this because flipping is so capital intensive, right?
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
to buy the property, you got to renovate the property, and you got to hold all of it until you sell the property. Your cash conversion cycle is very long.
Hmm.
So what I did, basically out of necessity, was by the time I had maybe 4 or 5 deals at once, I didn't have any more money. It was
Yeah,
all tied
yeah,
up.
yeah,
So I brought in private money to fund the gap. I call it the gap
yep,
funds.
yep.
And obviously the interest rate's higher. It's a second position loan, but that basically took me from being limited at maybe 4 or 5 deals at once to now being able to do 20 plus deals at once, and even more than that, just because it's so scalable that way.
So did you get that? I know we're both a part of the Boakley Brothers, mastermind. Did you get that
Yeah.
from them, or did you start that kind of on your own before being a part of that group?
So it was started before that. It was honestly just from talking to them. I started about the same time they started it, but they weren't talking about it
Yeah, yeah,
just yet. But when they did start talking about it, it's like, "Oh, cool.
yeah.
I'm actually
You're
on
on
the
the
right
right
track,"
track. Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. So do you when you how many are you carrying like right now? How many properties do you have?
I think right now I'm carrying like 20 or 21 flips.
Does that keep you up at night at all? Like all that debt that you've got, or is it kind of exactly where it's gonna go? I mean, is your
Yeah, no,
market selling really
it
easy?
doesn't
Is it quick?
keep me up. No. I mean, the first of every month I got
Yeah.
like, 50 grand coming out in holding costs, plus
Yep.
probably another 60 to 80 grand on the credit card every month, just from the renovations.
Yep. Yep.
But I've become used to it, you plan for it. And everything. So it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to the average person, yeah, hey, 50 grand in interest payments coming out every month and,
Yeah.
60 to 80 grand on your credit card every month is a little crazy. But no,
Yeah.
I've gotten used to it for sure.
So do you have your broker's license? Do you sell them yourself or does all that get baked in and you just have somebody else sell it?
Yeah, I mean that's all working into my numbers. I treat it like a business,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
I'm good doing what I'm doing. I'm gonna let someone that's a realtor. Derek is my main realtor. My mom is also a realtor. So between the two of them, they sell most of my deals, and it's like a whole nother job in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
let them do that. Yeah, obviously I have to pay the money for it, but the idea is that they're gonna take it off my plate. they're gonna do it better than I am, and I can focus on finding more deals that are gonna make more than hopefully the 3% that I'm spending.
Yeah, exactly. And if they know what you're going for, they know your numbers, you can kind of put that on auto drive, let them take care of it, and you can spend all that time getting the next deal, like you said. Yeah,
Exactly.
that's awesome. So tell me a little bit, that first deal that you bought when you were 18, tell me about that. What were your
Yeah.
numbers
So
or what was the house? Give me some background on that.
yeah, that first deal. So I was looking, for a rental, right? Because everyone was preaching, hey, buy a rental, passive income, this and that.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
was
yeah.
like, okay, perfect. I'll buy a rental. I was like, what's a cheap rental that I could get into? I was like, well, the condos are pretty cheap. There's not much maintenance. Yeah, you got to pay HOA, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything. So I was like, hey,
The numbers are
it's like,
really good when you don't know anything. The numbers
right,
always work out
right.
really nicely. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, Derek is actually the one who sold me my first deal. And I was like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I think he maybe showed me like one property before this. This is probably the second property he showed me. And I remember getting the call from him saying that he found what I was looking for as I was moving all my stuff into my dorm at college. And I was like, okay, cool. I'll be back up tomorrow. I was about an hour and a half away
Yeah.
from college at that time. So I was like, all right, cool. I'll be back up tomorrow. I'll go look at it. So went and looked at it. Probably a week or two went by. We didn't get an answer. I was like, ah, man, I didn't get it.
Hmm.
And then I got a call from him and he was like, hey man, they're asking for your highest and best. I was like, okay, like I'll come up a little bit. And he called me the next day and he was like, you got it. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
That was the best feeling,
Yep. Yep.
getting a deal. It's still to this day, getting a deal under contract
Oh yeah.
feels way better than even, selling a deal,
Yep.
making 100 grand.
It's opportunity.
Yeah, it's so much more fun getting
Yep.
a deal under contract. So I got that one under contract. It's supposed to be a rental. I fixed it up and I was like, hey, just curious, like, what's it worth now that it's fixed up? And I was like, okay, hey, it's worth, about 300 grand. I put 25 into it. I bought it for 200. Obviously I'm gonna have to pay commission to sell it. I have closing costs and everything like that. It makes a lot more sense for me to sell it rather than have all this money tied up and make like, 400 or 500 bucks a month,
Yeah.
because I could do a lot more. I think the check was like 100 and change at the closing table between what I had invested into it and the profit. I was like, man, I could do way more with this 100 grand than I could with 500 bucks a month
Yep.
now. And then down the road, I can say, hey, half of it goes to rentals, half of it goes to keep flipping. And that was my mindset with it. And then I kind of just kept flipping ever since.
That's crazy. So where did you get this always this is always I'm always curious about this, how you got the money for the first deal. Was it all hard money or did you have someone who's like, "Hey, go for it," or what?
Yeah, I mean, so the main loan on it,
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
not quite 90%, I think it was like, 87.5% was from hard money. I paid a lot for it. I paid, 12%, 3 points, like everyone's first time,
Yeah.
with a hard money lender. And that's fine. I had to come up with some money for the down payment that I had. I used to detail cars. And then I was in crypto a little bit. I didn't do
Yeah.
too much in that, but I was at a time where it was pretty good. So I cashed out of that. Basically took every dollar I had and put
Yeah.
it in there. Um, and it worked.
Yeah.
Um, I sold it for just under 300 grand a couple months later. And then I think I closed on that first deal to sell. And a week later, I closed on another one to buy. And I just kept doing that since.
So you made what about like 25-ish that first deal or a little more?
I think the first deal made like 27 grand at the end of the
27.
day. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, that's a fantastic for your first deal to make that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
Yeah.
a
That's perfect.
especially going into your first year of college, you're like, man, just paid for my first paid for the whole year in one deal. Yeah.
Right. Right.
What did you get your degree in?
So actually, I did that first year and then I
Uh-huh.
went back to college for like a week and I was so busy with real estate. I
Yeah.
was like, man, I can't do this. I had
Yeah.
already had a couple houses at that time, under renovation. And I was like, man, I gotta go look at new houses, and it was, like
Yeah.
I said, about an hour and a half drive. I was like, man, I can't be, doing this. So I decided to just, jump in, go all into real estate, and it, seems to have worked out.
Yeah.
To answer your question, I was going for master's in business administration,
Gotcha.
but I decided against that
I mean, you've
the
probably learned,
first week of the second year.
yeah. I mean, you've probably learned 20 times more than you would have learned at college just running your own business, I'm sure.
Oh,
It's
absolutely.
that's awesome.
Sometimes it's a hard way, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I was about to ask you. What's the biggest lesson that you've learned throughout I mean, 2.5 years is plenty of time to have had some downfalls, some stressful moments, I mean, what do you think is your biggest takeaway after being in this for a little bit?
so everyone says CYA, right? You have to cover yourself,
Yeah.
and I've learned that a lot recently. If there's gonna be a way to get you, people will get you.
Mm.
So I heard someone say one time, it's like people who don't have money don't realize why you need an attorney. And then once you get money, you realize why you need an attorney.
Hmm.
And it's completely true. Yeah, I would say that it's probably the biggest one, but I'd say a second to that is getting the right people. Because people, and especially in this business and a lot of other businesses, people will make or break you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am a big proponent of getting people to work for me that want to work for me, that are fired up to work for me, and not like, oh, I hate my job.
Oh
It's
yeah.
Sunday night. Oh yeah. I personally, I love Sunday night because I know the next day is Monday and I get to
Hmm.
go to work. And I want, anyone that works for me to feel that same way, for them to like their job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
That's
like Gary Harper says, you always get two paychecks, right? You get
yep,
your monetary paycheck that goes into your bank account, and you get your emotional paycheck as well. And I want, myself and everyone that works for me to get both of those.
for sure. Yeah. I mean, firsthand, I've learned that being in environments that are not fun to work in, you get burnt out so quick. No matter how great the job is, no matter how much you enjoy the work, you will burn out if that culture is, not enjoyable to be in, if the boss is not fun to be around. So, I mean, to know all that and to have learned those lessons at 20 years old is pretty impressive. I mean, that's a it takes a lot of years for some people to realize that they need to take care of their employees more than themselves. And once they figure that out, it's usually better sailing. But yeah, it's a lesson a lot of people out there should listen to and hear and learn because it's something that I feel like I've heard too many stories over the past year of just really, really bad business owners, especially in real estate. I mean, you come in contact with just some crazy people in real estate, realtors who have absolutely no idea what they're doing, who don't know how to talk to people, who they think that the property they have is, a gold property that you can't find anywhere else, even though there's another one down the street, just stuff like that where, people just it's crazy. But um that's awesome that you've learned that. How and you said you have a couple property manager or project managers, bookkeeper, and then you're bringing on an acquisitions guy. So
Yeah.
are you growing the team more than that this year? Is that the goal for you to step back more and more and just keep building the team?
Yeah. Because honestly, the biggest thing, other than figuring out how to finance these deals for me, was when I brought project management on, I was doing maybe like 2 to 4 deals at once. Versus after I hired project management, I just blew up how many deals I was doing. I went from doing, like I said, 2 to 4 deals at once to doing 8 deals at once to doing 15 deals at once, now doing 20 deals at once.
Yeah.
And I just know that it's going to be the same thing with acquisitions because right now I'm so bogged down with, the amount of leads I'm getting. I'm taking too long to answer. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I need to hire someone to do this for me. And
Yeah.
hopefully they're better at it than I am. And then I can, step back again and work on the business itself. And because I know how well it worked when I hired project management, I know it's going to be the same way with this because it takes so much of my time.
Yeah. Do you think before you hired the project managers, you were saying no to deals, or were you just not even able to go find more where, you didn't even know they were out there or you didn't have time to find them?
I didn't have the time to find the people that had them,
Yeah,
or I
yeah,
didn't have time to market for them or whatever it was. Right now it's because I find that too with when you have people in place like that, you can pull levers, right? So I can pull a lever and say, hey, let's change this one little thing. And that could end up affecting, over the course of the year, probably six figures of
yeah,
revenue, right? And that's the same thing I want to do. I want to say, hey, let's bid things $5,000 lower than we've been bidding them. Okay, over 50 houses a year, that's $250,000. We just added to the bottom line by
yep,
doing that one little thing. And that seems easy to say, as we're looking at it right now, but in practice, it's a little bit different. So I want to be able to devote my time to that.
yeah. So what's the best deal that you've done so far? And then I got some questions about your Instagram, but I mean, how long did you start doing Instagram, by the way? Because you've got like 60,000 followers, something like that. You're killing it on social media.
Yeah, I think I probably started posting maybe 12, 13 months ago.
Okay.
But then I really started like posting every other day
Mm-hmm.
in like July. So I don't know,
Of
what is
last
that?
year? Like
Eight
seven,
months.
8 months.
Yeah,
Yeah,
July of
yeah.
2023. So yeah, maybe 8, 9 months or so.
And you're just posting a reel
Post.
or a reel every other day, and followers just start dropping in.
Yeah, basically a reel every other day and a couple stories here and there,
Yeah.
Instagram and Facebook. I think the first video I had that blew up, got almost 1 million views was a hoarder house video.
Yeah.
And then I had another video of some squatters that blew up a couple times. I had a video of this lady who broke into my lockbox,
I
stole my
saw
keys
that
in an
one.
HOA.
That
That
one was
one got
crazy.
a couple million views.
Yeah.
Yeah, and other videos like that. It seems to be like the videos of bad things happening in my properties seem to do the
Yes.
best. you
Yeah,
know
I saw the HOA one and that was crazy. That lady was not
yeah,
happy. That was funny to watch.
yeah,
Yeah.
that was wild. Yeah.
Yeah. She literally just busted in that lockbox and was like, I'm not giving you the keys because I think your video said your permit wasn't posted.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the story. So
Yeah, go
I
for it.
had a permit for the renovation. So there
Mm-hmm.
there are two permits. There was one for the renovation, and there was a separate one for the plumbing and electrical. So I had the renovation permit, and I had sent it to the HOA. We were waiting on the other permit. So we were able to do the work that didn't involve the plumbing and electrical,
Yep, yep,
which we were doing. The HOA had the permit, but it wasn't posted in the window. But since we had the permit, we were okay to do work. And we talked to
yeah,
the property manager. He said we were okay to do work.
yep.
So she didn't see a permit in the window apparently, and she got mad, because it's a retirement community. They don't have anything better to do,
Is she
apparently.
on the board of HOA or is she
No,
just she's just a hanging
no,
out?
this is just a resident.
Wow.
She not on the board, doesn't have anything to do with the HOA. This is
Yeah.
just a resident.
Wow.
Um, my guys there were two or three guys in the unit working, and she gets a key out of a lockbox, because I guess it was open because the guys were there.
Mm-hmm.
And she takes the keys, hides them, goes into my unit, kicks my guys out, and they're scared. They don't speak a whole lot of English, and so they're just left to not cause any problems.
Yeah.
Um, and then I got a call from them, and I was like, "Hey, this lady just took your keys and kicked us out of here." I was like, "Excuse me?"
Yeah.
So I drove down. This is a flip that's about an hour away or so. I drove down there right away, and I was like, yo, what's going on here? And I knocked on the door they said my unit's 304. They said
Mm-hmm.
the lady in 302 took the keys. I knocked on the door. Lady in 302 didn't have the keys. I was like, oh, my bad.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I go downstairs and I find the lady. She actually came up to me that had the keys. I was like, hey, give me my keys. And then that's
Yeah.
when I started recording. And then I guess you guys can see the video
Yeah.
on my Instagram.
Just had some technical difficulties. Are you there?
If you want to check that out. But yeah. Are you frozen?
Yeah, I think we just cut out there a little bit. Can you hear me
There it
now?
is.
There you go.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, we
What was the
got you.
last thing you heard me say?
Just saying to go check it out on your Instagram, which is perfect. We'll tag your Instagram on the bottom here, and
Okay.
people should definitely go and see that video because it's crazy. I mean, it's real life that's
Right.
insane that she did that. But
Yeah,
go
I was actually surprised that that happened. That was a little crazy.
Yeah, that I mean, I was watching. I was like, man, that's something. And the cops just came and said, why did you take his keys? Like, doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, the cop was actually borderline almost upset as I was. They're
Uh,
like, "You absolutely cannot be doing that,"
yeah,
which
like
was good because I've had I had to call the cops a lot. I didn't think they would do that.
yeah. Are you there?
Yeah, I am.
I don't know what's going on if it's my Wi-Fi or yours, but um, you said the cops were just as upset as you were.
Yeah, the cops were pretty much just upset as I was because they got to the property and they were like, "Hey, you absolutely cannot go in anyone's unit without their permission. You cannot take their keys. You have to give them back." So I was happy that the cops did that because in the past I had one time where I had squatters and the cops were like, "Hey, we can't really do anything." I was
Yeah,
like, hey, "Man, these people are in my house. What are you
yeah,
talking about?" But then yeah, these guys did what they I think they should have. So I was
for
happy
sure.
about that.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a rule about citizens enforcing permitting work to be done on a property. That's a little insane that she thought she could just take the keys and get away with that. That's crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, tell me
And what
about
was
the.
crazy
Oh, go ahead,
too
go ahead. Yeah,
was that she put a stop work order on on the window, handwritten on some lined paper
just a
and some
big.
very messy handwriting, a stop work order. I was
That's
like, "What
crazy.
is this, man? Come on, take
That's
this off."
crazy.
Yeah, a resident, no one from the HOA, by the way,
Yeah,
no one from the
just
city, a resident of the building.
just doing her duty. She's making sure everyone's following the law. Yeah, she's doing her
Yeah,
duty. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. So go tell us about your best deal that you've done so far. I mean, quantify best how you want. If it's payout or your favorite deal, how it turned out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was one I actually just sold a couple of weeks ago, and it was I mean, I think in the amount that it made, maybe not like, the highest profit, but in how easy it was and for how fast the renovation was. I bought this deal for 344 grand, put 31,000 into it and sold it for just under 520,000. I think we sold it for like 519.
Well,
So, and it was, borderline wholesale, we just kind of
yeah,
did the kitchen cabinets, the flooring, paint, refinish the bathrooms and put it back on the market. So, and I actually got that deal through a referral, which was awesome.
yeah. So when you go into a house like that, what makes you decide, we're just gonna do a tiny rehab here, just kind of slap some stuff in there and sell it? Is it just you can just, I mean, been doing it long enough, you can just tell this doesn't need that much. The ARV's there, the comps are there. Let's just get it on the back on the market, or what do you look for?
Yeah, and this is another 55 plus community, um, where all the other houses were pretty much outdated,
Hmm.
and they were still selling, almost
Yeah.
500,000. And it wasn't in bad shape, it was an older person that lived there. They didn't beat it up, it was just outdated. So we got rid of the wallpaper, of course, we got rid of the carpet,
Yep.
modernized the kitchen. The bathrooms, were okay. We just took the yellow tile, made it white, and that was it. I mean, most of the time I do full renovations, but in certain instances it's not 100% necessary. Yeah, you're going to sell it for a little bit less, but it's going to be a lot faster, so you're going to
Oh
save
yeah.
the time,
Yeah.
both your own time and the holding costs and everything like that. So
Yeah. Do you in Florida, is it, I guess since it's such a heavy retirement community, is it easy to sell 55 and older community condos and houses?
so far so good. Yeah, I mean, like you said, Florida has a big population of retirees, and I mean we have also a good amount of 55 plus in retirement communities.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's no different honestly than a regular house in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
I haven't gone into that area at all. I've kind of just up here. It seems like they're a little more difficult to sell. I've seen a couple of them for sale and they've sat for a long time. I mean, we're in Indiana, no one's
Okay.
retiring. No one's intentionally going to Indiana to retire. They're going the
Right.
opposite direction. So that's crazy. How long? did that renovation take like 30 days, under 30 days?
Yeah, it was like under 30 days.
Yeah, that's crazy. And
Yeah.
how long did it take to sell it?
I think we were between listed and closed, you were under like 60 days.
Oh,
So it was pretty quick.
yeah, that's awesome. I mean, you've already kind of walked us through, I mean, probably one of the funnier stories I've heard from something that's happened on a flip, but you also had on your Instagram, you had like a murder house that you were walking through and there was like, was that blood on the floor?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah. So
crazy.
there was a house. And then if you see the end of the video, it's where I talked to the neighbor,
Mm.
and the neighbor told me basically everything that happened in that house. Like someone did die in it. There was a lot of, I guess, domestic violence after whoever died in it died. It was yeah, that was a rough one. But you know what's cool about doing what I do is you get to see something different every day, which I really like, and there's always something pretty cool. You know,
Yeah.
I think one of the funniest things that has happened probably last week.
Mm.
Um, I had this house that I bought. It was complete jungle. I mean, it was you couldn't even barely see the house. It was so covered in just shrubs, trees. There was a tree growing through the screen enclosure of the pool.
Oh, wow.
It was wild.
Yeah.
And I'm about to post a video on it, but there was a car that was left behind in this house. And,
A
you know,
car?
I was like finding cool things in
Yeah.
houses, and a car is just like, you know,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I asked the guy, I was like, hey, what do you want to do with this? And he was like, oh, it's, you know, it's a derelict auto. You know, there's no title to it. I don't want it. You can do whatever you want with it. I was like, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So he didn't run. The registration was like 5 years old. So, you know, I imagine it hadn't run in about 5 years. So there were probably 8 to 10 guys that were there at the house clearing out all the landscaping. And I was like, hey, can you guys help me put this up on my trailer? I got a car trailer, and I just need you guys to help me push it up. The tires
Yeah.
are flat, so it's
Yeah.
tough to push.
Yep.
Whatever.
Yep.
We had 10 dudes pushing this car up onto my trailer, and the back's kind of like a ramp, and it goes up onto the sides. So it's like a dovetail. So the car went up on the side of the rail and almost went off the side
Oh my
because we had
word.
one of the younger kids who was light. You know, we had to push a
Struggling.
car, so we put whoever was
Yeah.
light in there trying to steer it,
Yeah.
and he couldn't steer it, and it kind of went over the side. And we were all dying laughing because it was so funny. Because he, you know, he just couldn't drive it right.
That's
um,
crazy.
yeah, and we had to take it off the trailer, put it back like, you know, 2 or 3 times just to get it right. But yeah, you know, I'm probably gonna take that car. We got it running, by the way.
Nice.
It was just a fuel pump. We got the car running, and I don't know. I got to figure out, you know, what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do with it.
Yeah.
But it might be the new swamp buggy or something. We'll see.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
crazy. That's crazy. They just left the car like, yeah, I mean, doesn't have a title. Just take it off my hands. That's
Yep.
crazy.
And that's I mean that's what people do with houses too. I mean,
Yep.
usually they got a title with the house, but
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, that's kind of where someone like me comes in and say, hey, I'll buy it from you, and I'll actually give you
Yeah.
some money for it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that was a very funny story. So I'm gonna post some videos on Instagram and on what I do with the build.
Yeah. Yeah. Be sure to check that
So
out. That's crazy.
yeah.
There's literally just stuff growing through the house. It's salvageable. It's not just like it's not beyond
Yeah,
repair.
yeah. There's like
Yeah.
a tree growing on the roof, a palm tree growing on the roof. There's some sea grapes that just engulfed the pool enclosure. I mean, you like I said, you can barely see the house from the street. You can only kind of see like the driveway and the garage. It's just crazy how overgrown it is. And again, that'll be on Instagram.
Yeah, that's crazy. I like what you said though too, but I feel like there's this misconception sometimes about flippers and how they do or why they do what they do and if they can feel good about buying someone's house for, less than what they could sell it for. And what you said is exactly right. I mean, people are just you're solving a problem for somebody. You're taking something that they don't know what to do with, they can't figure out how to fix it, they don't have any know-how, they don't have any money, and you're giving them money for something that otherwise would just be a headache and a emotional stress for them and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean it's not just ripping off old ladies and taking people's houses for cheap. you're making an offer that makes the most sense for you and your business. And if they don't want to take it, they don't have to take it. But like you said, you're solving someone's problem.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's going to be a burden to them. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the people I talk to, they don't have money or time, or, they don't even want to fix the house, even if they could. And they're not going to sell it to, you're not going to be able to put it on the market and sell it to someone that's going to live there because
Yeah.
of how bad a shape it's in. So that's where I'm going to come in. I'm going to, make you an honest offer. I'm not going to try to rip you off.
Yep.
If you want to take it, you can. It's very low pressure,
Yep.
the way I do things with sellers. So, and on the flip side of that, no pun intended, but
Yeah. Yeah.
when I'm selling properties, I'm not one of those flippers that goes out there and puts out bad work. If there's an issue, I'll take care of it.
Yep.
As within reason, of course. But I see so many flippers that just horrible, horrible flips.
Yep.
And I had one or two flips at the beginning that were just not the best quality. And I made sure that I would and I sold them. They were in a hot market, so I sold them. But I made sure that I would never give someone a bad deal, a bad product, because that's my reputation. Because
Yep.
the buyers and homeowners might not know, but the realtors the word will get around. They say, "Oh, Camarotti
Yep.
Homes, he does good work." I know that if I have a buyer, that's going to be a good house for them. And if
Yep.
there's an issue, they'll take care of it.
Yep. For sure. Your reputation, this business definitely is building your reputation in your local market, getting your name out there as someone. I mean, there's flippers here. There's a lot of people who flip in Indianapolis, but I mean, you can tell just from the pictures. You don't even have to go in. You can see from the pictures, oh yeah, like someone flipped the house,
Right.
and you can tell right away like this was not done well. They didn't redo anything layout wise. They literally just like threw in some Lowe's cabinets and trying to sell it for 40 grand more, which like sometimes is a strategy, like you said, if you do it right. But you can tell when there's a flipper who's like, yeah, I'm just trying to make a quick buck, and they don't really know what they're doing. They don't care about the product. But yeah, I mean it's a reputation business. It's who you know. It's building your brand. It's a huge thing. And I think, obviously you've done a good job. If people are throwing you referrals all over the place and you've doing this many deals, you've got to put out a good product, or else, like you said, word will for sure get around. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so do you have rental properties too that you've kept over the like do you handpick certain flips that you keep, or do you buy still just straight up rentals, or what are you doing there?
Yeah, at the moment, no, because I'm don't really want to be in the business of owning single family rentals. Um, what I do want to do in the future, are developments, whether it be neighborhoods, commercial plazas, things like that. But I rather do fewer, bigger rentals,
Yeah.
such as triple net properties, commercial warehousing, whatever that might be, because we can rent to a business, number one, um, rather than an emotional tenant,
Yeah.
and also the repairs, just being in the single family renovation space, it's an ongoing thing, even if you buy new. So at the moment, no, I do have one project that I'm working on that I am going to keep. That's going to be a short-term rental. It's some land that's been in my family, and it's going to be about 1,100 square foot tree house,
Wow.
out more rural area, but it's going to be a short term rental, and I think that's what I'm going to keep for now, and that's been a long time in the works.
Yeah.
So
1,100 square foot tree house.
yeah,
The entire thing is in the trees.
yes, yeah. I
That's
mean, obviously it's
crazy.
supported by
Yeah.
pilings and everything like that, but yeah, it's going to be in the trees type of thing. I think it's like 8 or 9 feet off the ground. So
Yeah. That's crazy. So
yeah.
you're just like, I know what goes into single family homes. I know what the work is. I know what the relationship with these houses is like. So how do you, I mean, from a tax perspective, I mean, you're obviously making money. You're doing all these deals. Do you just pay the man and move on? Or how do you fight? How do you go about all of that?
So I mean, there are write-offs that
Yeah.
we can take, and things that can better the business. Right? You got vehicles, you got
Yep.
education, which I,
Yep.
obviously I do spend some money on. I mean, at the end of the day though, if I'm left with a tax bill, I pay the tax bill.
Yep. Yep.
I think, I love living in the United States.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
obviously they got to take a portion of it, but, I do what I can to not pay
Yeah.
taxes, of course, but if I have to, I have to,
Yep.
it's not a big deal.
Price of
And
doing
like
business.
this, yeah. And if you're paying taxes, you're making money. So,
Yep. Yep. Exactly. So what's
yeah.
your like long-term goal with like your business? Are you just gonna keep growing it, or what's your plan there?
Yeah. So, I mean, the flipping business, obviously, I still got a good amount of space to grow, and I'm gonna, keep doing that. And I feel like I can have that flipping business, basically forever, or as long as the market allows me to.
Yep.
Um, but like mentioned before, the real idea for me is to get into land development, right? So whether that's building apartment complexes, building out neighborhoods, building out commercial retail centers, whatever that might be, that's my future goal. And some of those I will be keeping, some of those I will be selling. I'm imagining I'll be selling in the beginning to build up
Yeah.
some cash till I can keep.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So I mean, when you're not flipping 50 houses, when you're not fighting off HOA situations with next door neighbors, what do you do in your free time? I mean, you're a busy guy, clearly. So I mean, what time do you have? But what do you do, outside of work in real estate?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I mean, I try to keep things as balanced as I can be.
Yeah.
Obviously this is very time consuming, but I love, even though I live in South Florida, I love going snowboarding. I
Yeah.
try to get out to Colorado or Utah a
Nice.
couple times a year to go snowboarding. I also like going out, we ride ATVs, we side by sides, all that. We'll take some trips doing that. And I like traveling as well, go down to the islands. We're not very far here. We'll
Yep.
run over to the Bahamas. It's like a 30-minute plane ride. So it's
Yeah.
real close.
Yeah.
I like traveling. That's my big thing. And that's, another reason that I wanted to get into real estate, because I know that in real estate, I does provide me the time to do some things like this. Obviously, you have to earn the right to do that,
Yep.
and have to build things out the right way.
Yep.
But yeah, that is one thing that pushed me to get into real estate, was the flexibility of time.
Yeah. So you mentioned a couple of different things that you could probably answer the same way, but as far as 2024 goes, what's like your number one goal? Is it just amount of properties, building out the team? I know you said a couple of those things already, but if you had to pick one, like 2024, this is what I'm pushing for as the business owner, as an entrepreneur, as someone striving to do the best I can do in the business.
Yeah. And so I want to grow. Obviously, I think everyone wants to grow for the
Hmm.
most part. But I also want to optimize what I'm doing now. So I want to probably add at least 50% more deals this year, but I want to have that optimized to where they're faster and they're more profitable on every deal, to about double the income, if that makes sense.
Sure.
That's my overall big picture goal for 2024. That, and obviously hiring the right people as well is a part of that. An acquisition person was one of the goals for 2024, and that's happening, like I said, this month.
So do you think the key to, what you're laying out is the acquisition manager, or is there a couple other things that you're trying to put in place to get where you're trying to go?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of things.
Hmm.
The marketing engine is part of it, because word of mouth is great, but that's not infinitely scalable, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing, is optimizing the marketing and spending a lot of my time on that, so I can keep everyone busy, so I can keep acquisitions busy, so I can keep my project managers busy, they can
Yep.
keep my subcontractors busy, they can keep my realtors busy.
Yep.
So all that
Yep.
is aligned. So
Awesome. Well, what's your Instagram? Where can people find you? We'll tag it below. But where can people find you if they want to go look at all those crazy videos that you've got posted?
yeah, so Instagram and Facebook is at Camarotti Homes. It's just my last name, so that's Camarotti Homes. I'm pretty active on there, like you mentioned before. And then, if you ever want to get in touch, shoot me a DM, whatever it is, I try to answer as many as I can. So
Awesome. Yeah, like I said, we'll tag that below so you guys go check him out. But it's been great having you on, Donovan. There's been a lot of, you know, funny things that you've been through, a lot of business that you've been through, a lot of good nuggets in there for people who, are brand new in real estate investing, been in it for a long time, who are, just doing a couple deals here and there, it's I feel like people get stuck. I mean, people get stuck in analysis paralysis before they even do their first deal, right? But then you get stuck in the kind of where we're at. We have 3 flips right now, and we're selling. 2 of them are on the market. But we're trying to hit 24 this year, which is a crazy number to me, for what we've ever done. But it's not unobtainable. Obviously, you just got to put in the work. You got to know your numbers. I think that's a big thing that I've learned recently is I have to be so solid on my contractor numbers and my rehab numbers and make sure that there's plenty of flex there where when things go south or we just had all the appliances and AC unit and furnace and everything stolen out of one of our units and that
oh my gosh.
that takes money to put back in. So, that shaves a lot off the top right away. But um, you know, doing that many deals is really cool and really, inspirational. I'm sure people will take something from that. But it's been great having you on. Great getting to know you. I know we'll see each other Wednesday afternoon, or for me, it's afternoon. Are you guys Eastern time also?
Yes,
Yeah.
Eastern.
Yep. So we get the midday call with the Berkeley brothers. But are you going out to WealthCon in April?
I am. Yes.
Gotcha. I'm not going in April, but I'm hoping to go to the next one. I got one of my best friends is getting married, so I'll miss it, but I'm sure I'll catch you out there on another one. But I appreciate
Yeah,
you coming
absolutely,
on.
man.
We'll post this and then send it out to you, and it'll be great. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, awesome, man. Thank you for having me on. I really do appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to see the finished product.
Definitely. All right. Thanks, Donovan.
All right, I'll talk to you guys soon.